the microphone.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Not that one. The other one.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
She's a speech theater major, but I have to show her where the microphone is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got to get right. Yeah, put right on you.
Okay.
Do you want to take it out of there?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I feel more comfortable with that.
You have to breathe in.
Actually, 50 years ago, about this same time, I was doing some serious partying in Penn Hills, Pennsylvania, and partying with this glass. Do you have one? This is what everybody got at the wedding that night. It is 50. I have this piece of paper in it so that you can see what it says, Mr. and Mrs. Alan C. Travis. This has followed us through all our moves, domestically and internationally. I don't know how it made it. It's always had a spot in our china closets. It's always been a wonderful reminder of who you are and how important you are to us. And honestly, I cannot believe, it's surreal to me that tonight I can toast you the way I did 50 years ago. I don't think we're that old. It really is incredible. The second thing I wanted to say is that I know you said no gifts. And at our ages, if it's not edible or disposable, we don't want it or need it. But I wanted to do something for you. And I'm reminded of Oscar Wilde's comment, "Memory is the diary we carry about with us." I wanted to give you the gift of memories. So about 5 months ago, I asked our daughter-in-law, Natalia, if she would help me with the project. And we had done a couple of these with our family, and she said, of course. So I said, I will do the gathering. Thank you, Craig, for all those emails, and Todd for all those photos, and all of you for all your responses. If Natalia would do the putting together. And she said, of course I will. Well, it's one thing to do it for a family, and when you know the subjects, it's quite another when there are 50 couples. And we didn't know, most of them. So we had an adventure, and I'm sorry Natalia cannot be here tonight, so I could thank her for her huge commitment of time. But we hope, Nona, now, after the festivities of the weekend are over, that you'll have time to sit on the sofa and leaf through this album Natalia and I have created, and your friends have supplied the information for it. And as you see, every photo and note, it will evoke a special memory, a wonderful friendship, an evening together, and in the process, you'll know how much you're loved. And now I can talk to you about it! Because I've reconnected with lots of friends that I haven't seen for years. And it's sealed, but there.
It's our wedding
Starts
party.
out with our wedding photo. Actually, they're sitting over there, and we will not open it yet.
Yes. Oh my, and then it ends on the picture that was on the
The
invitation.
famous Hilton Head picture with me wearing a pair of shorts, almost embarrassing. Almost.
This is awesome, and it sounds like many of you contributed.
Yes.
And we had no idea whatsoever. So I can't tell you what this means to us. So thank you, our dear friends, and
Excuse me.
I'm going to let Alan go. And then
Well, I'm not going to say very much. We thank everybody for being here. It's an extraordinary event. My parents did not make 50 years because my dad died before they were able to do so. Fiona's parents, the same. As a matter of fact, her father died before we were even married. It's unusual. I try to think of things that I could say that were philosophical, what magic formula there is to get to a 50-year marriage, I have no clue. I think I'm still working definitely on one. I know I'm working on one that Fiona has been begging me to deal with for 50 years, and that is always having the last word. And it's, I got a little advice this morning from the guy who flew me around in the P-51 Mustang that she surprised me with, the World War II fighter jet. Ladies, I don't know, or guys, actually I shouldn't be sexist. Hottest prop fighter in World War II, upwards of 500 miles an hour, had a range of something like 7 hours. It was used as a long-range escort to the B-17s in Europe, fought in the South Pacific. The plane I was in today is 5 years younger than I am. It came out in April 1945 and never saw war action. I didn't have any problem with that. I didn't want any bullet holes in it. But the guy said he married a full colonel. His wife is the pilot. He said she mustered out as a full colonel, and he learned very soon that their getting along was based upon her being able to say, I've got it, I'm taking care of it, don't worry about it, I've got it. And he accepted that, and that's how they get along. I don't know if that's how we get along. It's been a wonderful time, and I'm not going to say any more. You've already been standing too long. I'm going to ask Fiona to make a couple more comments, but before so, I would just like to say, just like Stark, it's an extraordinary event. Fiona's four grandparents, most of you know this, I think, but all four of her grandparents came from Scotland. Two from the area of Forfar over on the east coast, Angus County, and two from Hamilton near Glasgow. They were farmers on one side and coal miners on the other side, and that's where she comes from. Her heritage is very important to her. Mine's mixed, and I don't even want to go there. It's just too many strange things. But I'd like to ask you to raise your glass to my body glass. Yeah. And that's
Wait, can you do that again?
Count to 30. Okay, yeah. She's saying count to 30 because I came home one day from the office and I said, I was reading somewhere that to spark up your life a little bit, that you should try to kiss for at least 30 seconds. And I said, we've gotten to the point where half the time it's an air ball kind of kiss, it's an air kiss. So he said, sure, we can do that. And we proceeded to kiss, and he started counting. We made it to about 5, and we were laughing so hard.
Not all at one time.
Yeah. And it's not that he always has to have the last word, it's that he's always right. So it was really, really fun for me to keep this P-51 Mustang a secret because he had gone online and they had last year's news on there that there was a P-51 at this Ohio Balloon Fest and that you could get your picture taken with it for $5. And he said, yeah, there's one plane. And I was telling everyone, no, there's going to be 4 World War II planes. And I didn't want to tell him because then I had so much fun. Everybody I knew that he was wrong and I was right. I think it was probably the first time in 50 years.
Except it was last year's news. Now,
Anyway, we want to thank all of you, and we want to drink a toast to all of you. And we want you to know that you're an important part of our 50 years, and you all represent a different era. So I'm going to talk about that, what era it is from, and I want you to just identify when I talk about it. The first group is obviously my family. So I want my cousins. My cousin George, he was the first person I called. George, where are you, sweetie? Over there?
Way over there.
He was the first person I called because my wedding day was going to be very tough for me. My dad died the summer before, and my dad always talked about my wedding. And my cousin George grew up with us. His dad and my dad were brothers. My other cousin, Jookie, did he make it? I understand he just got out of the hospital. Oh my God, Jookie. He's here, okay, and you had a heart?
I just got out of the hospital at 5 o'clock.
You made a true Scot.
You made ours, I had to make yours.
Well, all of my family, my extended family, that includes Anita's family, all of the family. My sister-in-laws are here, Alan's family. The only one that's living in our wedding party that isn't here is my brother. And he's in Florida and unable to come, but everybody else is here. George was the person I called first. And I said, George, we're thinking of having a party for our 50th. Do you think you and Alice could come? And he did, and he walked me down the aisle. You'll see his picture in the wedding album. And in those days, you know, if you didn't have a dad, your mother, I never knew of anybody that their mother walked them down the aisle. So he very nicely filled in. He looks a lot like my dad. And so for me, it was an extremely meaningful day, and the fact that he was able to come, his family, some of his family came all the way to come today. So I want all the family people, and there's one other person that fits into this category, and that is Scotty and Scott and her 2 girls, because she has been with me. Her mother says she had her the first half of her life, and I had her the second half of her life. So Scotty and Scott are family to us, to Alan and I. She's like the daughter I never had. Scott is like the son-in-law that I never had. And her girls, and they're all right there. So family, everybody, the family, just let people know who you are, will you please? Okay. Thank you. The second group of friends are the people we met in college, and they kind of go together with our apartment friends. And because that's who was in our apartments. We got married first. The rest of them all were in grad school in some way. 2 of them are here that lived in the same apartment building. Last night, about four couples got in a limo and we went around to those old apartments.
And you got to know that I despise limousines.
Yeah, he hates them.
I despise limousines.
So, but we did it and we had fun. Another person that belongs in that category is Jim Hess. Jim and Lee, we met through Sandy, who was up here. And what's interesting about all these friends is, you know, we've been through so many things together, and we still do. We've been through babies and deaths and illness, and you know, when you say your wedding vows, it's true for friends as well. And in sickness and in health, everybody's been there for us. So we thank all of those people. Where are all the college people and apartment people? Julie and Brett, Phil, my roommate who was in my wedding. Phil, where are you? She's way down there. Okay. The next, okay. Well, somewhere during that period of time, I know it's in the apartments, we met the beginning of what I call the prosecutor's phase. And the first person I think that we met was Bill Schimpf. Bill and Helen Schimpf. He was also part of our bridge playing days. We played bridge in the apartment, and the dummy rocked the babies. That's how. And the apartments were about bridge, no money, and just really enjoying each other's company. So we have that whole phase. Bringing us into the rest of the prosecutors that are here, that we met all through the prosecuting attorney's office. Some no longer are practicing. Judge Hogan and his wife Gail, we were at your wedding. Bill and Helen got married in our living room on Devon Road. Bill came over and shoveled Alan was ill during this blizzard of '77, and Bill came over and shoveled our driveway so I could get out. and go visit Alan in the hospital. So we're talking about a group of people that go way back. Mike and Melinda, all those times on the NDA and the OPA, Kathy and Larry, and who am I missing in the prosecutors? Dave!
Hey, baby.
Dave
Mom.
Hardiman.
Mom.
It's amazing we didn't have you speak tonight because the first time, in his first swearing in, Sandy and Stark came back to our house and Sandy said, I don't know who that young man was, but I hope he speaks at my funeral.
He's booked.
And Alan
He's
said,
not young anymore.
he's already promised me. So we went from, we left, when we were in our apartment for 7 years. So we moved to Devon Road from there. And our Devon Road friends are here. Not all of them, a few are not. Devon Road was where our kids grew up. We moved in when Todd was in kindergarten, and we moved out of there when Todd, the week of his wedding. Our kids all went to school together. It was the era of 4th of July parades. It was the era when it was well known at any party on Devon Road to not let Jim Hager and Fiona Travis get together, because before the night was over, it would be a very heated argument about women's lib. I still have a poster Jim gave me. He was, but the 4th of July, his magic, where he actually sawed one of the neighbors in half for the kids. He played Kate Smith. It was the original block parties that started progressive dinners, and we've taken that to every neighborhood. So Devon Road, and that is now, the extension of that is what we call First Tuesday. So all of you that are in the First Tuesday in our book are part of Devon Road. You were all part of that whole era with Mary Ann and Pat and all of you here. The only people from that era that couldn't come today, I got a call, were the Shriners. And he used to coach what was called the Dirty Half Dozen. It was our 2 boys and 4 other boys in the block. We went from Devon to the quarry. And we kind of grew up from beer kegs on Devon to wine in the quarry. They were the whiners. And so all the quarry people who now are so important to us, we left there 7 years ago. We were there 16 years. We still belong to a movie group that we see regularly. And more importantly, there was a commercial not too long ago a long time ago actually. It was a Jell-O commercial for, Florence Henderson. And it started with, I treat my friends like family and I treat my family like friends. And that particular group and some extended friends have become our surrogate family on every holiday. When there's no kids around, we share all of our holidays together. And we have been through, we've been through death and illness and all kinds of experiences with many, many people in our lives. And they're a very special group to us as well. We left there and we moved into Ballantrae. And where are the Ballantrae folks? Okay. You can see most of them are a little bit younger. We went from the empty nesters into this. We built our home, designed our home. Actually, Alan did most of it. And when we ran it by our kids, Craig said, go for it. If that's your dream, go for it. Go ahead and do it. And our son, Todd, who is in real estate, said, well, it's probably not the most conventional wisdom for people your age.
It wasn't.
That was before the bad real estate market. But anyway, speaking of Florence Henderson and Jell-O, one of the things we have learned from Ballantrae is to drink Jell-O shots. And we feel honored that we are part of their gatherings all the time. And so, the reason I wanted you to all put your hands up, whether you're family or some era of our life. I don't think I missed anybody, because when I looked at this, I double checked, and I think everybody belonged to it. Well, I do want to thank Bonnie. Bonnie, are you in the room? I do want to thank Bonnie and the country club and the chef. They worked with us, and they did a great job. So I don't know if I see her, but
Yeah.
our thanks to her. What I was hoping is that if you could identify each other from different parts, maybe you could mix up, and then you could all tell your stories about Alan and I. From the people that are sharing different stories. So right now, we just want everybody to have a good time, and it's
Miller,
our toast
I don't
to
want to
you.
hear anything about CK. Not a thing.
So here's to all of you, and we thank you.
Thank you.
so
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for coming. And now we invite you to dance and eat, and happy anniversary.
fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.